This weekend moto from around the world. Before I get started, let's get this video to 1,000 likes. Hit that subscribe button. Helps out the channel a bunch. So there is some speculation going on there that the Hunter brothers decided to ban a few riders from participating, the likes of Deegan and also Jason Anderson. And this is not the best look. So I ended up reaching out to the series to see what was going on. And this is the info that I got. I asked, hey, are the rumors true about Deegan? And the Australian Supercross said definitely didn't ban him, but contractually, the Lawrence brothers could stop him from being paid to race. He's definitely welcome, and they would love to see it, which makes it seem speculatively that this Australian Open that says the world's best will battle seems like there's only a couple guys of the best that will battle, because here is Jason Anderson. He made a post thinking about going to Australia, and a lot of people are not very happy about it. And what was interesting is we have Hayden Deegan's mechanic chime in, said, did they offer you a chance to call and apologize to them too? Which again, the information is pointing in the direction that you had Hunter and Jet saying, no, we don't want you to show up. And then Deegan, he made a post as well saying the AUSX Open prep, or at least it was. And so thinking about this, if we're going to advertise that the world's best will battle, it's somewhat a bummer to see behind closed doors that you have some politics going on, meaning you have certain riders saying that they don't want to race with other guys. And I guess you could see it from their end that they're just going down there as a job, and this is an exhibition race. But if you're advertising to the world that the best will battle, it's a bummer that inside contracts that potentially there could be some little itty bitty fine lines that ixnay other people out there. It's definitely unfortunate, and I don't necessarily think we will find much more information about it. It's probably going to be kept very low unless you have some guys like Jason Anderson and Hayden actually speak out on what actually happened. But give it up to the series. The series is the one that says, hey, they would love to have them there. And Australia is a big fan base for the Deegans. You know, honestly, everyone in America, because of Jace and a bunch of other big moto guys, Australia loves to consume content. And so it'd be nice to have some of the best riders in the world. And this is honestly can be spun to where it's just going to make everybody more money, right? Because there's going to be a giant rivalry that comes into A1. So as far as drama goes, I am all for it. We also had Deegan starting to start some some drama between Levi Kitchen, kind of bantering back and forth. You know, it's very PG per se. It's nothing that we get from like the UFC with Connor. So there's nothing real explicit about it, but I'm happy to see it because truthfully, racing is a business. And unfortunately, we are seeing more of some of the dirty business that we get from stuff with contracts, right? So I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. It is sad if this actually turns out to be true. However, all signs are leading to the speculation that there was something in the Lawrence brothers contracts that prevented certain riders from showing up. So it almost makes it seem like it's a guaranteed, I hate to use this terminology, but almost sandbag, right? You show up to play, but you're not going to race against some of the best guys. And also, I get it that, you know, if really you could have some pressure from, you know, this is me speculating, you could have some pressure from Honda and everybody going, hey, we want you to win a championship here in America. So you do whatever you can, right? And I don't necessarily know if it was really the Lawrence brothers that said, hey, we need to make sure you put that in there, or if it was just their managers doing what they do because they're involved in business. And we all know there's lots of politicking going on. But here, I digress. We can move on to some other things that happen throughout the week. So we had the first Clash main event with the Starks versus 450s and 250s, and Justin Bogle ended up coming away with the win. And Vince Freeze, his motorcycle there at the Reno round 1 for Arena Cross, look gnarly AF, right? This bike looks sick. Love it. The Apokovich pipe, you know, they do a really good job there over at MCR. And you had Vince Freeze come away with the points over Kyle Peters. So Kyle Peters maybe should have retired early, because this last one is going to be harder than ever to try to get around somebody like Freeze that Arena Cross is built for him as far as bar banging. We saw a lot of stuff. Matt Burkeen had some interesting things on his Instagram showing a lot of the carnage. As we can see, there's probably these guys going off the track here. There's Freeze. Woo! Cross jumping. Jumps over a tough block, which should be illegal. He's off the side of the track, gets back on, and, you know, almost gets in a position where he could get landed on. Some gnarly stuff goes on there. I know a lot of guys may not want to race Arena Cross anymore because there's a particular guy coming in here, but I digress. We saw the first images of Jorge Prado, the 2024 MXGP World Champion for 2 years in a row. He is switching to America, and on factory Monster Energy Kawasaki, he's going to be teammates with Jason Anderson. He looks good on the bike. I even like the pinkish, maybe purplish gear. And so there's going to be an internal battle between Jason Anderson and this individual, Ed, who's going to be the A rider. Yes, they have multiple factory guys on multiple teams, and we're not supposed to say that there's an A guy or a B guy. However, we all know that there ends up being an A guy and a B guy on a team. And if you're on Star Yamaha or something, there's an A, B, C, D, E, and F. But I have high hopes for this individual, especially if they keep the whoop rule, which they're more than likely going to with the whole 9. It's not going to be no Paris Supercross whoops. And from around the world at Barcelona, the Martinator came away with the MotoGP championship, and unfortunately for Ducati, they are letting that #1 slip away. It is going to Aprilia, which is crazy. Marc Marquez is actually taking the seat on factory Ducati because these guys were on a support Ducati team, and I guess they didn't have enough money, or Aprilia gave the Martinator a better deal. Hopefully he's buying a crap ton of Bitcoin with it, because we all know that sucker is going to $1 million. And this is not financial advice. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how well he does, because in MotoGP, with how much R&D that they have, usually there is one brand that ends up taking over the entire series. And I believe these guys had about 80% of the points as far as Ducati, and 60% of all the wins were coming from that team. And this is Jorge Martin testing there on his new Aprilia, and he's doing his signature drag his shoulder, which he doesn't do it in the races, but it's more of like showboating what Jeremy McGrath did with his knack, and that's still just really cool to see. And there's been some changes that happened with MotoGP as far as the rules, where Aprilia is going to get more motors than Ducati.
The MotoGP manufacturers' concession rankings will stay the same in 2025 as they are currently, because Ducati have more than 85% of the points, putting them in ranking A. So far ahead, nobody is even in ranking B, which is 60 to 85% of the points. Ranking C, KTM and Aprilia, 35 to 60% of the points. And ranking D, Honda and Yamaha, with less than 35% of the points. What do these points mean? It means ranking A, Ducati, get 8 engines for the season, and they are frozen, no development. Exactly the same for ranking C, but ranking D is where it gets interesting. They get 10 engines and they are allowed to change them, develop them throughout the season. Ranking A get no wild cards, Ducati. 6 wild cards for ranking C, KTM and Aprilia, and the same for ranking D. And these wild cards for C and D are allowed to use modified engines, development ones. Here's where it gets really interesting. Private testing for ranking A is at 3 circuits nominated, Grand Prix circuits, with test riders only, and they only get 170 tyres to do the season's testing. Ranking C is exactly the same, but they get 220 tyres. Ranking D is test riders and factory MotoGP riders at any GP circuit, not within 14 days of a Grand Prix, and they get 260 tyres to do it, so good advantage. Then ranking A get 1 aero update, same for ranking C, but ranking D get 2 aero updates, and because of the summer reviews mid-season, it keeps these rankings up to date.
Which is pretty interesting. You know, I really like how MotoGP has had more rules, but it ends up having like a taste of, you know, F1 where it's a little bit more liberal. But at the beginning of this video, it seems as if sometimes contractually that there is some stuff that's written that honestly should be taken out of, that I'm not too impressed with. But in closing, a lot of magazines and YouTube channels have now been able to cover the Triumph 450, and I want to see it ranked against all the other 450s, most notably the new Yamaha and Honda and even the KTMs, because this was handpicked by RC himself.
Components all handpicked by Ricky Carmichael himself to deliver a setup and feel that he really likes. So we've got things like the ODI bars, we've got the Dunlop Geomax tyres, we've got the gripper seat cover, we've got as well all of these amazing decals on the bike, and this is a graphic scheme.
And that stuff you can all get aftermarket. And here they've got a couple maps.
We've got 2 engine maps you can choose from, and on this bike the
second map is nice because it's actually tuned by RC himself, which I do like that as a marketing. May it be a gimmick, but it's still pretty cool. The factory editions should all have, hey, this is Jet Lawrence's, and for Kawasaki, this is Jason Anderson or Jorge Prado's works map. But what was interesting is they've got some pretty built stuff in here that's going to enable the top end to last about 45 hours, which is, whew, that's quite a bit.
We've got a wish list of, if you could compile a wish list, all the bits you could want on the bike. You've got the KYB AOS suspension, awesome. the great brands within the engine. So we've got Del West titanium valves, we've got a Koenig piston, a forged piston for a really nice long service life. It's a 45-hour top.
Woo, that's what I like right there. But Dirt Bike Magazine did a really good job with that. And this is your week in moto from around the world. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that like button either. So till next time, keep it WFO. Ba-ra-da-da-da-da-da.